Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your host, Scott Eckart of the Prost podcast at Pilgrimage Wine Company in the Treaty Line Vineyard in Cambridge City, Indiana, where we focus on wine and beer and spirits and the best in live original music and the agritourism business in the Midwest at large. Stop. All right, this week on the Prost podcast, I have Mr. Michael W. Johnson, the first, on the podcast, and there's really nothing I can say that would give this guy a proper introduction. All I know is I love his enthusiasm. He's a very talented musician and got a lot of spirit and passion for the local music scene, so I hope you dig this interview. Prost.
On the radio station, you've got all these things you're doing out here. I feel like that'd be some pretty good synergy.
Yeah, for sure.
She's got a lot of access to a lot of places on that. It's an Earlham College, so it's like there's a lot of places he's got access to. He's got like three separate studios.
That's another aspect of this whole thing, building this scene that is critical and really cool. Pirate radio station, COD radio station, the underground radio station is where it's at, and to know that we have that here is going to be quite pivotal and important as we go forward. So we're getting started here.
Oh, okay.
Today, I have the honor of hosting in the studio here, Treaty Line Records and Recording Studio, Mr. Michael Johnson. Thank you, sir, for coming out and visiting us.
Hello.
Sorry it took so long to get you out here, but we're all busy with our lives and stuff. But appreciate you swinging by the studio to chat, man. How are things going?
It's going very well. I've been very busy over these last couple of weeks with a lot of different spots and gigs and things, and I'm very happy to be out here. I've wanted to be on this podcast ever since its inception, but I was a little too scared to ask about it. So when you reached out, I was like, oh, yes, I could do this. I'm coming,
Sure, man. No, I mean, it's just a matter of time. I mean, we've had a couple of the fellows out here, and ideally, I mean, I would like to have just about anybody in the scene out here to talk to them about their stuff. I just find it so fascinating. We're here to support. You're definitely at the top of that list of people doing interesting things here in the Richmond area. A little different sound than some of the more traditional folk stuff, but you've already played here once. We are going to have you out here in a couple weeks, hopefully as well for the showcase as well. Don't want to date this thing because this will probably come out after that, but yeah, I mean, you're always welcome to play your music. It's again to a high level. Clearly, you got a really interesting past, and as I already mentioned before we started chatting, you're a super passionate guy. You already you have a reputation as a passionate guy. You're a very talented musician, but you're also an artist. I mean, you have a lot of different unique things going on. So it's a pleasure to have you out here and talk about Richmond music, talk about your music, and all that good stuff. Spring is more or less here, and it's crazy kind of weather going back and forth, but about to start moving the shows outside. I know, man, we've got a lot to talk about. You've put out some releases from a guy that I can't wait to hear about that you're working with, a producer in Europe, UK area. And then you just played a show at East Street where you were using backing tracks, which is kind of next level stuff. I mean, we can get into the technical aspect of that. I'm very curious how you sync that stuff up. I don't know if you used Ableton or what programs you use, or just straight up backing tracks and played the guitar to it. But that can be a little daunting. And I know you kind of shared with me how your mindset going into that, and then your songs are really interesting. So a lot to talk about, man. So appreciate you coming out, and we'll get into it, man. So I guess let's hear about that gig at East Street. I'm very curious. Were you playing straight to backing tracks, and how long a set did you end up playing?
So, it's no secret that I have a musical angel in the UK by the name of Jordan Lapping, and we've been working together for a few years. I started doing like Drake Bell covers with him because that's what he liked. And I like it too. Drake Bell is actually a very talented musician. You wouldn't think that, but he's amazing. But we worked together. And then when I'm doing this musical resurgence thing, we started like really focusing on some of the songs that I had written. And he's just like a house on fire, making these tracks and stuff for me and composing these things. And I got like, I was talking to like East Street wanted me to come out. It was the band Quimby, actually. they got a hold of me and said, "Hey man, we need an opener. Can you come out?" And I was like, yes, I can, because I was with another group called Vagabond, and we would go around and play a bunch of stuff. But I had all these backing tracks, and I wanted to sound big and sound, like at the end of like a Vagabond show, you'd have, Kyle, Chris, Tony, and all these people. They'd all just be this giant band playing all together, and it sounds so big and full. And then it's just like, it's me with a guitar, and I'm like, I sound really thin, like, um, so they needed an opener, and I was like, okay, now it's time to try to do backing tracks, So I got a hold of Jordan Lapping in the UK, and he sent me all the stuff we'd been working on without vocals and instrumentals, just like instrumental tracks.
Stems, basically.
Yeah, basically stems. Yeah. And I was able to, I have it's not an iPad, it's a tablet. It's like a Galaxy tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, it's called Easy Performer. It's just an app, right?
Yeah.
And it's got like, what you would think like drum pads are. It's just like that on a screen. And I've got each backing track in each one, and they're all together. So it's not like I got to start piano and drums and whatever and a bunch of different pads. It's all one pad.
Okay.
And I'm just like, okay, I introduce myself to the thing, and I'll hit it, and then I play with it.
Okay.
And then I'll play and sing with it. I made sure to leave like background vocals and harmonies and like all the like supporting instruments and stuff behind it. And so like when we get to a high note and there's a bunch of like harmony behind it, that comes through too. The only thing that I don't like is that I tend to keep it in a mono output, because you don't know what the venue is going to be able to handle.
No, I think that's probably smart.
Yeah.
And obviously a stereo recording, especially with more cinematic music, is going to probably have stuff ping pong.
It does ping pong. Yeah.
You got to go mono in a big room. I mean, I've stopped, even running a left right out of our mixers, because it's like, what's the point?
Right.
Just one channel, especially for acoustic. There's just no reason for it. But so when you hit play, the song length's fixed, right? There's no way to kind of
there's not really much wiggle room once it starts. But that's the beauty of Jordan in the UK. Like if I play a show and I do the backing track, and there's something in that song that I'm playing with that I'm like, oh, we could do something this like that, I can tell Jordan, and he'll go and like augment it for me. He can make things longer, shorter. He can make me a track that's just for the live performance if I wanted to. And then I always have the option to be like, all right, I'm just going to play a song acoustically, if I want to.
Yeah.
But I was scared, man, because I did one time. I tried to do it with Vagabond, and when we hooked it up, every track I played was like echoey and wavy, and I think that might be because we were using that one giant thing, and it was probably coming out stereo. And so it's probably like wavy.
Yeah.
But I made it mono, and then they hooked it up at E Street. And Brian Elstro is a hell of a sound man, And so he made sure that my backing tracks and my live stuff like was very right where it needed to be level wise. Yeah. And
you don't want to do that stuff on the fly by yourself.
I gotta tell you, that was like the first time I had really in earnest played with all the backing tracks before. Like I was nervous to do it, but I wanted to. We were on the stage with our lights and stuff, because a lot of times I go to East Street, we're just playing on the floor. We're on the stage. We had all the lights going. The backing tracks are going. Everything's loud and boomy. I can feel it. Like you can feel it. And that's the most I had been into playing on stage in a while, because I just knew everything was hitting on all cylinders. I might have missed a chord here or there, but like, man, it felt good.
Yeah.
I could just close my eyes and feel it in my chest and bellow out the vocals, and just, man, it was really good.
Well, yeah. Why don't we back up a little bit from there? That's super cool. I've kind of gravitated personally towards more of the bedroom producer, the small studio producer. I have not done a lot of gig, but as we were talking about earlier, like my approach to production and songwriting, it starts with the guitar. I'm a guitarist first, but then I'm always thinking in terms of backing tracks. Basically, what's the bass, drums, and electric guitar gonna do? What's the melody? And so I've always been interested. I use Ableton even as my main sequencer. It's famous for being able to, in some ways, sequence the meat of the stems, but then you have a little pedal there, and if you want to stay, if you're a jam band, you want to stay in the groove for an extended solo, you just let it go, and then when you're ready to go, you pop out. So there are ways, I know, technically to kind of do it, but you're also
I'm pretty new to it
you're
when it comes
asking
to
for a
backing
lot of
tracks.
troubles as far as that's concerned as well. But I think doing backing tracks, obviously, there's just a bazillion ways to skin the cat. So I was
Yeah.
very interested in that. But let's for people who don't know who you are, what is your let's talk influences. Like how would you even categorize the music that you're playing? What who are some of your influences, and with these new releases with the guy that you're working with out of is it England?
I don't remember where he's from. I
Wales?
just know he's in the UK.
UK. But I mean, and I've checked out some of his stuff online as well. I know he does. He's kind of a studio rat. He's a producer and
Hmm.
does a lot of really cool stuff. But
He's also a music teacher. Like he's really, really, he's just really good.
yeah,
Like I'm lucky to know him.
that's cool. Well, how did you meet?
Oh yeah, well, I wanted to do a Drake Bell cover for some
So
song I was doing.
I mean, I got to ask. I don't know
Yeah,
who Drake Bell is. Who's
Drake Bell. There was an old show on Nickelodeon called Drake and Josh.
Okay.
Right, and Drake
Probably
from
a little
that.
bit after my time.
Yeah, right. I mean,
I'm a few
me
years
too,
older.
really, but my kids liked it. So,
All right, that's cool.
he ended up releasing albums because he played a musician on the show, but then
Okay.
he ended up becoming a very talented musician on his
All
own,
right, cool.
and he had a band and stuff. And I wanted to do a cover of one of his songs. I believe it was Telegraph or something. Or maybe I found him on YouTube or something rather, and I was like, "Hey, I want to put vocals over this little thing you did." And then we just talked a bit, and we became fast friends. And then he's like, "Well, what are you working on?" I'm doing this, and listen to this. And I think the first full song we ever put together that was original, that was mine, was "It Slowly Burns," and that became the first release on my new Spotify that is part of this musical resurgence.
Okay. So, again, what style? I mean,
Oh,
people don't
the
know.
style, the music that I listen to and the music that I make are vastly different. You know,
Okay.
like I do have a new metal album on Spotify that sounds a lot like Korn or Deftones or something like that. And I made that with another guy in the UK, oddly enough, who's German.
Uh-huh.
So the world's a funny place, but his name, he went by MemQ. It was like MEMQ, and we made that whole new metal album together. And that's amazing. That's a good part of my childhood that I love, is that kind of music, like Korn and Deftones, Slipknot, that kind of thing. But I learned how to play guitar with my mom's old country flat top. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It was basically me in my living room with a boombox with a little bitty like microphone, and I would just make music or whatever. I was terrible, obviously,
Yeah.
but I was learning through acoustic, and I was very much into acoustic. And so I mean, I don't think I'm like a folk musician, but like I love acoustic music. It's in my blood, you know. It's what I started with. It's what I love, and there's something to be said about I love the power and the feeling of those backing tracks. But there's also something to be said about sitting in a chair by a fire or something like that, or sitting in an intimate space and just playing straight acoustic guitar and putting out the emotion of the songs, you
Yeah.
know. So as far as a genre goes, I want to say I'm singer-songwriter, you know,
Yeah.
when it comes to the acoustic stuff. But then the backing tracks get so big and powerful, you could think of that as like power ballads
Yeah.
or something like that. Especially there's a few songs that could really be considered power because they always start really soft and they build and they build and they
Yeah.
build. And by the end of it, everything's going crazy. Everything is big and wide and like stereo. And well, I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
about that, but then it's almost like every song takes you on a ride. It's like up, 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 up. And then, you know, the song ends and then we start over up, 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 up. You know, it starts very
Yeah.
softly, gets, you
Yeah.
know.
I think power ballads is a good way to describe what I've heard. Again, I lack the musical vocabulary to kind of like pigeonhole certain, bands because I'm admittedly very insular in my music. I listen to the same stuff I listened to 30 years ago.
Same.
REM out of Southern college rock and stuff like that, and I'm still getting into Spotify and discovering new bands. I've been not the best about that, I'll admit, but yeah, I this might sound a little stupid, but I hear like shades of like effervescence
Mhm.
and the way when I because I haven't heard you with the backing tracks, but extremely melodic dissonance, if you will, and some of the chord progressions. And you don't always play in standard tuning, right? You
Mhm.
you play in a lot of it,
I keep my
which is next
guitar
level. I mean,
right,
again, I'd say 95% of guitarists never venture out of standard tuning, and here you
right.
are playing, and it gives you a certain vibe and I guess tension and some of the melodic, but um it always strikes me like I don't know what I would expect to hear from you, but when you get up and play, even at those Vagabond showcases, everybody's kind of doing their folk thing or whatever. And to be honest, what's really cool about those shows was that um there was a vibe, but there was also quite a bit of distinction in the various players. I mean, there's a lot of people doing there's nobody was doing the same thing, and you definitely were kind of coming out from left field with a much more kind of modern sound. Um, but it was fantastic. I even the showcase you played here, it was quite different from the more traditional folk stuff. But I can tell you personally, there were more than a handful of people that came to me afterwards and was like, "Who is that guy?" That's Michael Johnson. It's like I dig his stuff. Like it was so
I didn't
different.
know that.
Yes, there were
That
quite a
warms
people.
my heart.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of people that just love that more modern. I don't know if it's 80s or 2000s kind of. It sounded like Jars of Clay is another one that it kind of strikes me as it's got that acoustic, exactly like you just described. There's the acoustic undertone, but man, you've got the modern drum sounds and the edgy guitars and stuff. But it's not as raw and aggressive as say a Korn or
Right.
something like that. It's a little bit more commercial, but not in a bad way. It's just very melodic and you write really really great song. So
Thank
that
you.
that 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 certainly helps
Yeah.
the equation. But
I always write based on the emotion I'm feeling at the time.
okay,
You know, like I never say that I pull songs out of the thin air. The songs come up from out of me,
yeah,
you know.
that's a good way to do it. We were talking about
Yeah.
that earlier, and I'll definitely bite on that and
Yeah.
ask you some questions about that. Um, if you're writing, um, from what you know, and not trying to write um, something that's fake, that goes a long way to
Yeah.
helping your authenticity, which is obviously pretty important,
Yeah.
Um,
I'm any I'm anything if I'm not authentic, you know. I'm very authentic.
yeah. So that's a big thing, and I'm not trying to. I mean, sometimes you do. I I like to say, because we are so in on the live, local, and original music. We want to hear people bare their souls,
Mhm.
and And then people are like, "Well, I just don't write great songs." And I'm like, "Well, I get it. It can be a little bit of a mental um, um, challenge to find your voice, figure out what you want to say. Because again, when you're a new songwriter, a lot of times you can maybe find yourself falling into a lot of cliches
Mm.
and it's like, well, I've heard other people sing songs like this, so this must be what I need to write about. And no, you got, that you can be an original musician and write bad songs is
Right.
basically what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
it's not a guarantee that you're just going to come out swinging at a high level, but one thing that can be quite important is to at least have it be from your soul. And I feel like even as a maybe a younger songwriter, as long as you're being authentic and true to yourself, then even if it is a little cliched, that's part of that roadmap to get to those really good songs that you're going to write later on. So that's part of the journey.
Yeah.
But again, I guess more to the point, like um, uh, again, my style has always been kind of either very, very obscure and abstract, kind of a word collage,
Mhm.
to being, if it's a literal song, being very self-depreciating because I don't want to come off as pretentious. That's just
Right.
my kind of style,
Yeah.
Yours, what I remember hearing, it's I know that you obsess over certain lines and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's quite deliberate. And yeah, I've just I find myself like always being like, write songs, write song. And then when somebody comes with a song and it's heavily cliched, I'm like, ugh, you might want. So,
Well, I mean, I also
but
try to avoid a lot of metaphorical stuff too, because if I say a bunch of lines that could be interpreted 17 different ways, then you don't understand what the song was about. You
yeah,
know, and that's another thing with your songwriters in the round. Like you can sit there and explain what the song's about,
yeah.
but if you're just hearing the song raw, you know, you're like, oh well, this could mean this or this or this. But I try to tend to write very straightforward and blunt,
Okay.
so that like people
Again,
don't misconstrue what I'm saying.
100%. I love that. And again, I just contradict you by saying like there's a beauty in the art of sometimes just throwing a bunch of words and letting the user choose your own adventure, like figure out
Yeah,
how they want to interpret it. And then you've got the more literal sense, but where it's like, you want them to 100% understand. That's the beauty of being a songwriter.
yeah.
Now, the nuance is it cheesy or is it working? Is it part of your vibe and your approach to things? So again, there is no right way. There's no wrong way.
Right.
There are all different ways. For me, again, I'm giving you the kudos. Like it never strikes me as pretentious because I love the melody and you have some pretty heavy hooks, that things that are that do kind of grab me and pull me in. So yeah, before I lose my train of thought,
Sorry.
you're talking about from a lyrical standpoint, but where does the melody come from? Like what is um because those things are so finely ingrained and it is such a distinct sound when I hear you. Like yeah, I feel like I don't know what give me some vocalists that you think you sound like, because I feel like there's one or two that is there anybody that jumps to your mind?
I get unfortunately I get stained a lot.
Okay,
Now I only say unfortunately because of how he turned out later in life, but so I get
I don't know this
stained.
story because
Mhm.
was not a savory character or
Nah, he did some unsavory things later on in life, yeah. Um so I get stained a lot. Um I, I can't really think of I think I got Chevelle a couple of times.
it's that style and genre
Yeah.
of music, but you do it very, very, very well.
Yeah.
Stand actually, I do recall their music, and I hear some of that as well. It's
Yeah.
that style, and I think that's why people, because those were very, very popular songs. And again, it's your take.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's completely Michael Johnson. It's not Stained at all, but it kind of in that vein and that genre. In some ways, kind of chilled back. Um, but I think what made those songs so great is the power of the emotion and kind of the strip the slowed down tempo.
Yeah.
It's foreboding, but not in like a dark death metal kind of
Right.
like aggressiveness. It's this foreboding kind of melancholy, opens, tuning type things. You know, what is that interplay between the lyric and the music? Do you come up with the chords first and then fit the lyric to it? Is it all happening together? That's kind of how I operate. I'm mumbling things, and it's like, okay, now I'm a mumbler.
Yes, mumbler,
Yeah,
yes. No, I've done that so much.
but you have to
Yeah,
because that's what I notice. Like the way your harmonies flow
yeah.
with the guitar parts, they're kind of locked
Hmm.
in a certain respect. Very difficult to do. Maybe Maynard could do it. Maybe some people like that.
I
But
do get that sometimes.
okay,
Tool. Yeah, 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 yeah,
but for me, it's like when you're playing the chord progression and then the lyric locks
yeah. Hmm.
into the way the voicing of that chord changes. It's happening subconsciously and instantaneously, but I feel like sometimes I'll hum a certain line to a progression, and now that's baked in, and I can't change it.
Hmm.
I fit the words to it. Is that kind of
Right. So, I mean, a lot of the songs that I've written came from noodling, honestly.
okay? Noodling.
Messing with different chord shapes and different progressions, and a lot of it. Uh, I like a lot of my earlier stuff because I didn't know a lot of what I was doing. So a lot of stuff I was doing back then was very much outside the norm because I didn't know music theory back then, all this kind of stuff.
Love it.
So
Love it.
that's why a lot of the songs that I've
You
been
are
doing
free.
lately, yeah, I was free. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it was bad, obviously, but then I'm like, hey, Jordan, can you take this like 3-song thing or 3-chord thing I made 20 years ago? Can you make that into something? And boom, there's a new power ballad because Jordan's amazing. But it's usually like I find a chord progression that I like, and then I just start talking gibberish, like blah 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 blah. And then sometimes I'll say a couple of words, and I'll be like, oh, those words there. Now build from there, Okay. Now I've got this phrase.
That's
Okay, build
exactly
it from
how I
that.
do it. Yeah.
And then sometimes a title, just a song title, hit me in the side of the head out of nowhere, and I'll be like, okay, well now I've got the title, so I'm going to write the entire song based on that title.
Yeah.
And then I go from there, it's usually just, I don't want to say it's like a meditation thing, but it's like
it 100% is a
right,
meditation.
right.
I don't know if you do you meditate at all?
I mean, not in the traditional sense of like, om or
Well,
whatever,
I'll
but
give
like,
you a
deep
real.
thought,
No, I mean, but as far as I understand, and I am not an expert,
right.
but even my employer, which is Fortune 500, my employer even teaches us breathing techniques and things for mental acuity and things like that. So it's not like this is foo-foo stuff. At the end of the day, it's just about giving your mind a break, letting
Right.
it stop from its incessant, just 100% going as you go to sleep. It's just running. And, us Westerners are none the wiser, more Eastern philosophies like that's not good for your health. You need to let your mind have a break.
Right.
I've heard it described as a bicep curl for the brain, just letting it rev down a little bit. So it's not deep concentration. It's the absence of thought at all. And when you come out of the meditation because you haven't been thinking about anything other than being in the moment, as they say, then you find yourself, it's so subtle because we're used to instant delay, gratification, little micro dopamine hits incessantly from the phone, caffeine and sugar from our jolt, our Red Bulls and Cokes, we're always wired in modern mother culture to just be constantly bombarded with things. And then when you give yourself a break, as I feel like I've gotten older and I'm able to pick up on these subtleties, you do come out of it with just an ever slight more bit of a little bit of peace. Now, why do I even bring this up? Because I'm going to guess you would agree with me that when you're playing the guitar, you're not thinking about that bad thing that happened to you at work. You're not thinking about this. When you're playing the guitar, as far as I'm concerned, it's basically a form of meditation.
I
In
agree.
the moment, you're playing and nothing else matters.
Right.
And that is why I think music, well, amongst other things, is I know you mentioned that you have kids. For my daughter, why I think it's so, I want her to develop a love of music because it's something that's brought me so much, just such a valuable reason to live. But yet another reason would be those micro meditations that come with being in the moment playing music. It's something that's unfortunately rare in our culture. What do you say?
I agree. And that's like, so those micro moments where you're playing guitar at home and you're building a song and you can feel the excitement of like making a song out of nothing. Right. And then those little moments of like joy, happiness, meditation, like the rest of the world shuts off and you're just in it. Right. That's cool because it builds to how you're going to feel when you're playing that song on stage.
Yeah.
And the feeling that you get when everything's hitting right and that song you're putting out into the world and you're on stage, it's like you're doing it here and then you get that, it all leads up to that. And that is almost euphoric.
Yeah.
No,
that's a great point too, because again, there's no real getting around the fact that in some ways the brain doesn't know whether it's a drug that you're introducing, synthetically,
right.
or you're having the euphoric experience of it. It's partly why I think a lot of times artists, after they play that big show, they're frankly they're lost because there's no way you can top
like
that
the come down
unless they come down from the. I feel it when I'm producing music. I will have a session and it's just, it's sounding great. And you know what? you know, I'm going to stay up all night. I'm working on this track because there's
Yes,
nothing I want to do.
yes.
And then, I mean,
I can't set this down. I gotta keep going.
just like a, you know, bender, like you know, the next day I'm like frank, you know, in some ways depressed because it's like, you know, how are you going to top that feeling of elation of creating and making something great, whether you're somebody's playing. So, that again, that is something, and the best anecdote for that is just to meditate and give your brain a rest. But like, it's going to be all right, man.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that form of creation, you mentioned it again, something that I wholeheartedly agree with in terms of the creation process. And again, we talk about it, the idea of, you know, when you're sitting down with really a blank piece of paper and you're just trying to write, it's like going fishing. You know, you're throwing the hook in the water. Maybe you got a good worm or not. Who knows? Are the fish biting? You never know.
Right.
But you've written some good songs. I've written one or two decent ones. When you have the specter of potentially in 15 minutes birthing a song, bringing it into the world, and having the artist's inclination of what this might eventually become, that is quite an alluring, and you never know. And most of the time, most people I know, I mean, AJ Wetzel, he writes a song a week. You know, he's quite prolific. Jansen, I mean, there's a lot of people that are writing a lot of music quite frequently, and others like me, I'll have little spurts where I might write, you know, 5 songs in 5 weeks and then not write another one for a year.
Right.
You just never know, but every now and again a great song comes out, and the fact that that's always a possibility is always fascinating to me. And then the flip side of that is you're not going to get anything if you don't put in the time. You're never going to catch a single fish if you never throw a hook in the water. So you keep going back. One of my favorite bands, Death Cab for Cutie. It's an indie band out of Portland. Ben Gibbard, the singer, he's like, you know, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the work. There's no getting away. And if you put in the work and you're there, ready, willing to receive from the big man, that strike of inspiration, you will be rewarded.
Yeah.
You just never know when it's going to happen, but it's never going to happen. As they say, you know, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So,
Right.
all of those things I'm hearing you say, and I'm like, I think you're right.
Right.
I think you're right.
Well, there's also something to be said about, you know, don't be upset with, and this is for like aspiring musicians or people who are like, don't be afraid to just go and meditate with the guitar and play. And so you don't have to create a hit every time you touch your guitar. Like, there's going to be a million times that you noodle around and nothing comes out of it. So don't let yourself get low or depressed because, I'm just not writing anything. Songs, I have learned, I've been doing this for a long time. I have learned songs come when they come.
Yep.
Even if you have a nugget of an idea that you can't finish and it's been on the back burner for 10 years, some sort of inspiration will come and smack you and be like, oh, I'm finishing that song now because it finally happened. Songs do not exist until they're ready.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a universal thing or a cosmic thing or whatever, but like, you can't force it. If you force it, you can tell.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell if a song is forced.
Yeah, I totally agree. You just, but you got to put in the time. You got to be willing, and
exactly.
And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But but I always find that fascinating. So, yeah, well, that's super freaking cool. Let's again talk about Jordan. What's his process? You said he's a music teacher. You know, the instrumentation, does he work with artists? Does he track that stuff? I mean, he's got a studio, obviously.
I mean, I believe so. As far as what he does when he's not doing stuff with me,
I mean, do you just record the blank acoustic vocal and then he sends it back and then processes it? Do you? I mean, you mentioned you have like a Focusrite Scarlett or
I
mean that is like,
so
that's all you really need, honestly.
I think I think he might also be like a session musician because I know he does a lot of gigging too.
Okay.
But he's
essentially a music producer.
I would say that, yeah. He's a music teacher. He's a producer, definitely for me. I don't know how many people he produces.
And does it come back fully mixed and mastered, or
it's levels, you know. So like recently, I'm trying to make this album of songs that I made when I was free, before I understood music theory and things like that. I found a whole Ziploc bag full of cassette tapes from me being in there in my early days just with the guitar. And I pulled them out, I listened to them, and I put up my camera, and I was like, I played them for him, and I was like, this is what this sounds like, right? And he was like, okay, so he'll take my idea and he'll turn it into something, and he'll send it back to me, and he'll ask me my opinion, like, okay, what do you think of this direction? What do you think of this? Blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, cool, that's good or bad or whatever. Change this or do this little thing or
Are we
whatever.
talking drums, bass, electric
Yeah,
guitar?
he'll do piano, he'll do violins, he'll do little harp stuff, like a lot of stuff he plays, and then some stuff he's got samples for, you know.
Okay.
So like he plays the piano, he plays the guitar, plays the bass, plays the drums. Well, I'm not sure if he plays the drums because he's got a friend named Ian who will play some drums on my tracks from time to time. But mainly he'll do the piano, he'll do the guitars, a bunch of guitars. I think he plays the bass on them. He might program a couple of them, but I'm pretty sure he actually plays them. And then he'll put that all together, and if it's a big ballad thing, he'll throw in some violins, he'll throw in little harp things, so little chandelier things, to make it big, wide, and cool, you know, and unique.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll send it back to me, and then when we're finally happy with where the track itself is, then I'll do some scratch vocals, obviously, but then I'll do like the main, this is going to be the vocal recording for it, and then I'll do harmonies, and then I'll do, you know, left, right, side to side, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff, and add like the little ad libs and things in there, and then it becomes what it becomes. Technically, and I know this might sound a little off-putting to some listeners, but I don't actually play any instruments on those tracks. I wrote them, right, and I played them, but it's much easier for him to just go ahead and play it himself in his own mix because he's there.
Okay.
It would be like an extra 2 or 3 steps for me to do it and then send it to him.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I got the focus right. I could do it. I use Reaper.
Okay.
Which some people also might look down on, but it gets updated every like 3 days,
Yeah,
you know, so.
No, the Reapers, I haven't followed it in a while, but even back in the day, I think it's got some open source programs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that people like.
Yeah. Plus,
it's
so close to Sony Vegas, and I used to be a video editor, so like all the keyboard shortcuts and stuff, they're all basically the same on Reaper. So I didn't really have to learn anything, you know. That's why I went with that.
But you're vocal on there, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
it's always my vocal. It's usually it's always my harmonies. In the very beginning, like sometimes I can't figure out what I want for a section of harmonies or something like that. And Jordan, since he's a music teacher, he's really good at talking to you about things. So I'm like, man, I can't get this harmony on this thing. And he'll be like, okay, look, so here it is on the piano. Here it is on the guitar. You know, you got your guitar at home, you know, find this note on this fret and try to get your voice there. And so there was a time a couple of weeks ago, actually, I was like banging my head against the wall trying to get a very specific harmony that I could not figure out sonically.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute, but with Jordan's help, like I got through it, you know, and when it's on the recording. So that's really good. And yeah.
I know you dropped several songs relatively recently. What was that?
A lot of them aren't released. So like the only thing that a new page,
at least two songs out.
It Slowly Burns and A Letter to Myself are live on Spotify and all platforms right now.
Okay.
But then when I played the E Street show, I played a lot of unreleased stuff. And then when I made the video for that, I put like the track that we're going to release on top of it to make it, you know, sound good.
Like how long a set was that?
It was an hour. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So
and like Jordan said, what a privilege it is to be able to go and play your own music for an hour anywhere.
Yeah. We were talking about that again, mindsets and whatnot, but I 1,000% agree. And it's an, I wouldn't say underserved. It's a market that, you know, frankly, a lot of people, I wouldn't say I've given up on, but it's no joke, and we kind of say it tongue in cheek, with the business here, making starving artist wines for starving artists, supporting starving artists.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's far more lucrative to go play a cover set, but obviously Quimby, who's a pretty renowned jam band around
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
they freaking are amazing players. Love the stuff that they do. To have them, they're not looking for somebody to come play a bunch of Eagles and
Right.
whatever. They want to hear somebody play their own
And
music.
for my next Nirvana cover,
Yeah, and again, I hate to disparage that. I certainly played a ton of cover. For
yeah,
me at least, I didn't come out of the gate swinging, writing great songs. In fact, like you said, a lot of the songs I wrote early on were not good.
right. Me
But
too.
but what I learned by playing 200 gigs a night in Gainesville back in the day, for several years, was the insides and outsides of the songs that I loved, which then informed how I was able to write songs. So that's just part of the process. I'll never disparage anybody for doing any of that.
Right.
And frankly, it's an overserved market, in my opinion. There's
Yeah.
tons of places you can, and tribute bands are having their moment, and that's cool.
That's true
I
too.
get that.
Yeah. Tribute bands. Yeah.
It's all good. I get it. I see why people want it, but again, we're here talking about it and what we support here at the winery and the vineyard, and some of the things that we have coming is I want to hear and support people like yourself that are writing their own music. They have their own take on it and doing cool things with the technology that's out there. It's the tough road,
Yeah.
and so I have a ton of respect for people that are recording and releasing songs. It's just what I'm into, and the the second part of that is it's easy to lean into trying, starting this podcast and supporting and doing these cool interviews. One week it's a winemaker, the next weekend it's a local artist, because fortunately for me, there's a lot of really good artists around here. I've been really super stoked and pleased at the fact that it's not hard to find somebody to come out and talk to me about their music and their process, because there's so many really talented people, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
There's still plenty of guys, even from Craig Wynn to Tony Hawley to Isaac Ellis. I mean, there's a ton of really amazing Chris. I
Yeah.
want to have all these guys out here to tell me about how they do what they do, because it's a great story, any way you slice it.
I also really enjoy the fact that for the most part we're all very supportive of each other.
Yeah, I think that's key.
Like you see me on a radio station or something, I mention everybody's names. I know Tony has mentioned me in a lot of places. I'm not sure. Kyle's always been doing really well about trying to get us all to come out to do certain things and whatnot. Like if we see an opportunity, we don't just run off and selfishly take it for ourselves.
Yeah.
If we see an opportunity, we're like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. Can my friends come? Or like, hey, maybe like maybe I can get Tony to do it the next time it comes around or something like that. Like now I know this spot exists or like this thing exists. They offered it to me or they offered it to Tony, whatever. Now we know that's a thing and we can get our friends to go and do that the next time or on the same bill or whatever it is,
And that's key. And then, again, bringing more people into the fold. Like,
Yeah.
That's another thing that, that I have realized and am heavily leaning into. Like, we are the scene, and it'll
Mhm.
be as good or as bad as we want it to be. And
Right.
that's another thing that I really respect about you. Like, you're out there pounding the pavement.
Mhm.
You are doing, there's one thing that was pretty evident clearly on, and those guys, they constantly say this about you, which is another really positive kind of endorsement, is that you you're very, very, again, we mentioned authentic, but you're principled.
Mhm.
You say what you mean, and you mean what you say, and not that those guys aren't or anybody isn't, but you're very passionate and a straight shooter in that respect, and you're bullish on this scene, as am I, and it's important for us to realize, like, we kind of are the scene,
Mhm.
as all of us are the scene. And so, yeah, if we want it to grow, and I
Right.
do believe, or as they say, a rising tide raises all boats. We have to be positive. We got to play nice and sound. We got to support each other. We got to, and those, the jamborees that Tony and Kyle are doing now. Go play those gigs. Okay, I know somebody else is really good guitar. Like, the more we can, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to
Right.
happen overnight. But Homac is coming to Richmond next year. We're going to have a spotlight shining on us. All of the best songwriters are coming in here. Joe Augustin and all those guys, and Craig Wynn and Brian Elster. I mean, there's just some really, and I'm new to the party. I mean, I fully admit that. I'm not saying that it's any better or worse for me, but I am fully on here to support, and all of the guys that are coming out playing these gigs for Joe and Kyle and Cody and whatnot. It's our job to just be as passionate as you and I are, and just try and get more and more and more people involved. Why? Why? Because the music buying public, in a large respect, are kind of like sheep, and they're going to go to what they're comfortable with, and that means probably a cover band or a tribute band. And we're here, and like I mentioned, we've got this record coming out for Treaty Line Records with 8 artists that are local here. 8 songs, volume 1, and I hope to God there's a volume 2, 3,
I
4.
hope to be on volume 2.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the offer will be there. It's our way of showing that you don't need to listen to something you've heard a million times before. There's really awesome local music happening right now.
Right.
That is the first shot fired. Like, here's proof.
Right.
And there's a lot more of it. And so, we're going to just keep chopping away and showing people, that I'm excited about the fact that there's a local radio station that's supporting artists. And again, I know that they've been having rappers, they've been having, more of the metal. I mean, we're into more of the singer-songwriter folk thing. That's not to say that we can't get along with those groups at all. What we want to do is throw gas on the fire, which is Eastern Indiana live, local, and original music. I don't care what form or shape it is. It's all good, and it's very, very important in this day and age for people to be creative and keep their sanity as best they can.
Right.
So I love that you're as passionate about it. Keep obviously doing what you're doing. And part of that is supporting your own music and continue to make good music, make the best music you can, but also support those artists and do exactly what you're doing. I mean, I think it's critical. And again, to circle the point, it's like nobody else is going to do it. It's up to us,
right,
to be the scene and support the music, and we're doing it. We're doing everything we can. I'm a big fan of Joe Augustin. He hosts his show, I think, the with the library and Roscoe's and Flavor Notes and on these different things. And in some ways, there is starting to become a little bit of an intermeshing of the different groups. There's several venues. We hope there's more, but there's some cool stuff going on, man. There's no way, shape, or form. In that vein, I mean, give me the lowdown on the radio show that you were just on. Like, what was that? What was that all about? And what you like? What was your vibe with who is it that hosts it, by the way? It's at Irma,
I think
right?
he calls himself JMOB or something like that. But before I jump on that, I also want to say, like, all this stuff you've just been mentioning without the different shows, the library and things like that. Like, I did make a brand new Facebook group. It's called like Richmond, Indiana Music Scene.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
And everything I see on my feed, I try to share in there.
Dude, that's great. That is great.
The problem with that is sometimes Facebook doesn't show me something until 2 days too late. But I'm trying to be like, guys, if you have a show, if you have a flyer, send it to me, share it in the group. I tried to make it so that it's for musicians and their fans. Yeah. Like, I want to get all the musicians in there, but I also want to get the local area in there so they can know where.
In fact, I'll probably put this at the beginning of the show just to be like, look, there is, again, a resource. Because there's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, we're trying to, like, show, and it's yes, we want to condition people in the local area to be like, dude, there's some really great musicians. And again, AJ and Paul, and Chris and Kyle and man, there's just so many. I'm drawing a blank on a couple guys whose face I can see in my head, but I mean, there's just there's some really, really, really good talent, and it's funny. One of the people came on the show, and they're like, when I play locally, nobody shows up because they feel like they can see me anywhere. But then if I go play in Ohio or Illinois, like people assume when they see me that I'm from out of state, I must be pretty good, and they give me more. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that's so true. Like,
Right.
we're all local here, and people are saying, well, you're local, you must not be good enough to get out of town. And it's like, no, I mean, is that what
Right.
people were saying to Nirvana in Seattle? And then,
Right.
no, I mean, like, again, part of what you're doing and the record that we're putting out, and hopefully more to come, and more of these more like, is to like somehow figure out a way, and marketing is a big part of it, to convince people the music's there. We go back to the story. What's the story all about? Why, when we do the songwriting around this, get this narrative going that these guys, every musician you've ever seen was small at some point.
Right.
Like, why is it so hard to believe that AJ isn't the next Nashville superstar, or Kyle and the Mortonians, can't have a song, that hits it big on the college radio, whatever. I mean,
Right.
you can't have a great album. I mean, yes, the music business is just notoriously tough, and maybe setting those goalposts is kind of maybe not what it's all about. We've already talked about that. The creative
Right.
outlet is we in some ways do it for ourselves. We want to create an emotion, but I just want to figure out a way and continue to muse on how can we get more people coming out to these shows and being like, there's something really cool here. And I am going to believe until I die, passionately, that what we need to continue to do is just to continue to condition people to believe that there's some amazing talent here.
Right.
And I believe it. And now we got to convince people that, you're going to see a great show. You're lucky to be seeing these people
Right.
before they're
And you don't know till you come.
don't know.
You know?
You don't know. So you're going to be surprised.
Right. But yeah, as far as the radio station stuff went, man, that was great. Like, I noticed that he, like, some stuff started popping up on my feed, and there was like a local Christian rapper. I think his name is JB, like JAEBEE. I don't know, but he was posting stuff about being on the radio in Richmond, and I was like, hold on, like, if he's on the radio in Richmond, I'm sure I could figure out how to be on the radio in Richmond. Who is this person? I did some digging and I found out who the host was. I sent him a message. Just sometimes it's all about sending cold messages. Sometimes, it's like the worst that can happen, they say no.
You're absolutely right.
Right. So I sent him a message and I was like, hey man, blah, 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 blah. I've talked to the bigger radio stations in town. They won't even play songs for my wife. It's weird. Cause I send them like radio ready tracks. And they're like, we don't do local stuff. I'm like, okay, but then this guy is a college radio thing, and he will. And he was like, no, yeah, let's send me something so I can hear it. So I sent him something.
Bombarded.
Right. He's like, he told me he wanted guests, and I was like, well, if you want guests, then let me open the floodgates, pal.
Exactly. I mean, that's perfect because, like I just said, there's tons of talent here, tons of people that have their stories are content and songs, and so he's just like Pilgrimage here. Hey, let's do some music. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're booked for the entire year.
Right.
And I am super stoked on the lineup. It's not a bad act.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, would I have guessed that? No, I'm pleasantly surprised. And those,
if you build it, they will come, right?
Well, we hope, but that's what we're working towards. So that's super cool. So you did the radio station.
Now obviously my phone is recording, so I don't have access to like see what's up, but I believe it's WECI. And I think it's 91.5 FM. That is the radio station that you can also listen to online. I think through the Earlham College website or something like that. There's a little thing you can click and listen to it on the internet. But I just wanted to make sure I hope I'm saying those right letters and that right station.
That's on your Facebook.
It is. It is
what's
on my
the
Facebook
page again.
So I do have like a Michael W. Johnson the First, which is just like a capital I. Facebook page that holds this music. I also have a New Metal Messiah Michael Black page for the new metal stuff.
Okay.
Because I'm like a whole thing. I can be Korn, I can be Panic at the Disco. You never know, whatever. But
that Panic at the Disco is one of my daughter's favorite.
They're very like, you wouldn't think I'd like something like that, but they're so
production.
They're so tight with their production and all that kind of stuff. Like as a musician, you can't hate that,
it's irritating for sure.
Really.
So, but the one about the Richmond in particular, what is
Oh,
that?
that one. Oh, that's called Richmond, Indiana Music Scene.
Okay.
And it's just a Facebook group
and
that you can join.
It's good for Wayne County as well, right?
Yeah, it's the surrounding area.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's amazing. I love that. That's so we've got a new Facebook page that we should all start visiting and checking out. We got the radio station. We've got some great new music. Yeah, I would be remiss if I did not even at least ask, because we didn't get into any of your, like, usually I'll ask, like, where'd you come from? What's your past?
Oh,
but
we can always do another one of these at some point.
We will. I mean, there's again, and the beauty of this podcast, which is breaking rules, like thou shalt not mix genres. And here it is, winemakers 1 week. So the niche is like, what is Scott passionate about? Because I'm doing this thing and I only do it because I love it. And if it is never hard to talk about this stuff. I love doing it. So, that's, I guess, the common theme. But does it make sense? I don't know. The winemakers probably get alienated by the musicians. Music's probably don't want to hear about winemakers. But that's what pilgrimage is all about. So, dude, wrestling.
Yeah.
What? I mean,
wrestlers don't want to hear about music. Music don't want to hear about wrestlers. That's so multifaceted talents, baby.
Funny story.
Yeah.
Funny story. So we're about 30 podcasts in now.
Okay.
In half a year or whatever. It's been over a year. I got cold called about 6 months ago by Rowdy's podcast. They're based out of Arlington, Texas. It's a podcast. It's the one that I was number 250 or something like that. This guy does podcast on all things beer, wine, spirits, and then the third thing was old school Mexican wrestlers.
Nice.
It's called the Rowdy's Podcast. And then I went and he had like Jesse James on there. He had some pretty like big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you hear about me? And he's like, your Facebook stuff came up. I thought it'd be cool to reach out and find out what's going on in the Eastern. So I went on the podcast and I had a blast. It was so much fun just telling the pilgrimage story. And so I listened to it and I was like, I didn't make too much of an ass out of myself. That was kind of fun.
Right.
And then a few weeks later, we were doing some content. Sarah Fields, who's our social media guru, also going to help us with the record label when we get that off the thing. So without going off on too much of a tangent.
You're fine.
The record is called Treaty Line Records, and the studio is Treaty Line Recording Studio. It's a little home studio here. We've got some decent mics and preamps, and we can do some good stuff here. But we are in the process of releasing this record that's going to have, those artist sample more on the way. But we'd also like to work with artists. And a big part of what record labels can do now is PR. I mean, that's basically about the only thing. Music is cheap. Yeah. We're doing the vinyl because we want to have something that's cool and is a nice calling card. But as you are finding out with your tracks, like just putting music out there, the performance is where it's at these days. Unless you have a record, people do like the media or shirts or merch, stuff like that. But Sarah, we hope, will be able to, if we can find a way to make it just the least bit profitable. Hopefully the label will be a way for us to, again, further
at least breaking even,
at least breaking even. And we do, this is a passion project. Yeah, she is not cheap. I mean, anybody that's good at their job costs money, and she's really good at social media and marketing. And so, but she's on board with Treaty Line Records as we get it off, working to help get some more PR for record releases, promotional stuff, eventually booking a network of gigs. Again, we've got the home act. There's a lot of really cool things happening. It's going to take time, but that's happening. Anyways, we're in here doing a podcast, and I'm interviewing AJ before the podcast, but just asking him questions for content. And he looked at me and said, "Man, you're pretty good at asking questions. You should do a podcast." And about a week later, I woke up 2 nights in a row, and I was dreaming about the podcast, and I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. So that's the genesis. So it does come from being on a wrestling podcast that, again, was a genre bending set of things. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. And I'm not trying to make $1 million. I just want to talk about things I'm passionate. That's how the format is kind of dictated. So that's my connection. Other than that, I didn't grow up watching it, but you are actually a wrestler.
Yeah. I've been doing it for 22 years at this point.
And you're still walking around.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You're not broken.
you get trained pretty early on how to protect yourself, especially in like more dangerous situations, and how to make sure that you don't destroy your body. Plus, I didn't really, I mean, I did have a spat in my teens where I did a lot of drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, but I didn't do it long, and I didn't continue to do it. So like a lot of that, like I didn't destroy my body on the way.
Yeah.
I'm not some big giant muscle man or anything like that, but
Yeah. I was gonna ask, so like, how tall are you?
I'm 5'9",
5'9". Okay.
5'8", 5'9" on a good day, I guess. I don't know. But I just, I get in there, I tell a story, I don't fall down a whole lot anymore. I
I mean,
used to
did you
do
work
like
out a lot? Do you do
springboards
a
and
lot of
stuff.
gyms or something?
Not necessarily,
Ever take
you
any
know.
cycloroids or anything like that?
No.
I thought that was a requisite to get in.
I mean,
I mean,
in the
because you're in there,
80s, yeah, in the
you're
80s,
you're
yeah,
in
sure.
the ring with a bunch of guys that are doing
Right.
that stuff, right?
Well, it's really storytelling
That's
at the
true.
end of the day,
That's true. Yeah.
It's almost like a singer-songwriter thing. There's always a story behind everything. If you create a good story and you go in there and you tell it, people will pay attention, And so if I'm wrestling some big, strong Superman or whatever, there's a story to tell there. If I'm wrestling somebody my own size, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? What's the story behind that? If I'm wrestling somebody
It's
smaller
a lot
than
of
me,
role playing.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
But it all does hurt. Like people say, oh, wrestling's fake, wrestling's fake. Like it's performance art. At the end
Performance
of the
art.
day, it's
Yes.
performance
Yep.
art,
I get that.
and all of it does hurt. We're live action stuntmen, and, we are falling. We are getting hit. The folding chairs are real. The blood is real. All that stuff is real. It's just, we know who's going to win. We know what the storyline is. We're
Yeah.
trying to entertain you,
It's crazy to me, man. and in many different ways. Like I'm older than you, so I'm have
Probably not as much as you
but
think.
I mean, geez, oh gosh, I'm always paranoid that I'm gonna twist my ACL or something like that, and you're in there like flinging each other around.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I've never actually had I've had some concussions, but
Yeah.
I've never broken a bone or anything like that.
I've broken my arm, my elbow, I've broken my clavicle, I've had stitches. I mean, just from soccer injuries and stuff
Right.
like that. But so that is a crazy, but I think very cool and unique aspect of your background. You mentioned
It
that
is
you
all about feeding the inner child. And I said
okay.
this on the radio, like,
I love that.
it's
I love it.
following the dreams of your inner child should be what you do in your adulthood.
I
Obviously,
love it.
you obviously can't be Batman, but you can be an
Well,
actor, musician, pro wrestler, as long as you,
yeah.
feed that,
I
you can
think
do that.
that's great, man. I love that. I mean, because you're also into the visual arts, you do other things. I know.
Mhm.
I mean, are you a fabricator? I mean, I know you have this totally crazy microphone stand and
Oh yeah.
stuff. I mean,
I had that 3D printed for me. It's actually a
okay.
replica of the mic stand that Korn uses.
But you also do like video, like you're just a
Video
creative.
editing,
You're
yeah.
a creative person. What other tricks do you have up your sleeves?
Well, I really like to dabble in like modding things, like game systems and stuff.
Okay.
I build arcades that have like a bunch of games on it and stuff. I build like there's a whole bunch of like little electronical stuff I like to do.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So you're just a creative person.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and doesn't it make you kind of wonder, like, life is short. Like, why? Because I kind of am eclectic and really into what I'm into, and
Hmm.
then like really boring to talk to if you want to talk about football or something like that. It's
Exactly.
just like
I don't follow sports at all.
yeah. I mean, I really follow some things, but I mean, to the average person, it's like I couldn't tell you the first thing about the Colts or
Right.
something like that. Not that I it's just I'm really into what I'm really into, and if you're really into it, like we're gonna get along really good, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you make the assumption that everybody's kind of into their own thing, and then you're like, "Oh, a lot of people just sit around and watch TV. It's like what a
Right.
waste, what a
Yeah.
waste."
Yeah.
But anyways, well, that's cool, man. already an hour. I didn't
Yeah.
even talk to you about really get into who you are or why you are the way you are, but we just talked straight on an hour about
Yeah.
music and the scene.
It's
And
fun, man. I'd like to do 7 of these. Like,
yeah,
just,
well, again, this is just the beginning. Like
part
we're
1.
yeah, part one, and we're gonna again have you out. Hopefully, for sure we'll have you out. Like I said, and I've said this many times, our venue expressly exists to support those artists that are hopefully releasing music, doing their own thing, and it's really easy for us to. Oh, you got maybe even a new EP. I've got 5 songs that I want to try out in front of. This is the place for you to come. We will put you on the front end of a headliner that we already have booked. Um, to give you a place to try it out, not
Yeah.
with backing tracks.
And I did,
That's for
yes.
East Street, or
That is
maybe
yeah.
when we have the amphitheater. But no, more of the stripped down sound. But I
Right.
mean, you sound fantastic just with an acoustic guitar in your voice.
Well, I mean, right now I have the album I'm working on, right? The stuff from the early days, the early era stuff, and I have 2 other EPs on
I've got a
that I've been
bunch of
working
them.
on, and I've got like 2 or 3 singles that I'm working on. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to daisy chain all of it to where there's some sort of a mildly constant stream of new content.
Well, that seems to be the prevailing wisdom on how albums in some ways are dead. I like them because I always think of music in terms of projects. I'm sure you do too. But yeah, no, it's the model of releasing, keeping content fresh is. I mean, that's what I guess the so-called expert, if we even have some way to do it. But
there's really no actual absolute science behind it.
Not anymore. You do it.
It's a lot of luck, honestly, for people who get a decent following. One person who had a decent following liked you and then shared them with them, and then they shared them with them, and they shared them with them. Yeah. That's how it's done.
Well, I do believe in some ways you make your own luck, but the odds, even if it's 1 in 1,000 that you might find moderate regional success, which seems to be the number that gets thrown around, it's still the odds are not in your favor. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with how good or bad you are, because frequently it's not the best music. That's not the system that we're in. It's
right.
There's other factors work. So I totally agree. But again, I've found solace in the fact that we do it for other reasons. We do it because it brings us peace.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to connect with somebody on an emotional level in a world that frequently is devoid of human interaction. And that AI conversation is for another day.
Oh, dude, I do not use AI.
We will wrap it up. But again, Michael, thank you so much for being here,
brother.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a great conversation, as they always are. Talking about things we're both really passionate about. Thank you for that Facebook page. I will definitely start amping that. We'll that's one of those things that we needed. So great on you for doing that. Love the music. Can't wait to have you out here. And thanks again for being here, man.
All right.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you. Everybody have a great day.
We're out.
Beautiful. That was really fun.